What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This here is Legitical Response, and folks, I present to you a little bit of insanity.
Those were official acts according to this court, because according to this court, your motive as president doesn't matter. If you do this in order to hurt an American citizen you don't like, to hurt a political opponent, according to this court, it doesn't matter. You have just talked to the CIA, you have just talked to your Attorney General, you have talked to the Secretary of Treasury. By doing so, you are engaging in an official act. This opens the door to abuses of power, the kinds of abuses of power that we had in the Cold War at a time of the imperial presidency. It is beyond belief that a court of people who lived through the 1970s would have forgotten how it was that Richard Nixon abused power.
I mean, I think that's being generous.
Okay, so as many of you know, and I'm sure you've probably heard by now, that the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Constitution and says, yes, for official acts, presidents enjoy immunity from criminal prosecution, and there's a very good reason for this. However, the left is just whinging. They're just going outright insane, and this is why I always say these people are insane. Did you hear what the guy just said? He's going with the Sotomayor opinion on this one and just thinking that it's blanket immunity, that a president can just do whatever the hell it wants to do. And as a matter of fact, we're going to read out that Sotomayor opinion because it's the rantings of a deranged lunatic. It's not the thesis of a Supreme Court justice, right? It's not a decision from the Supreme Court. It is literally the rantings and ravings of a damn lunatic. It's just outright insanity, folks. It's crazy, but we'll get into it. But, okay, so we know that. We've been knowing that. Presidents get immunity, right? That's why we haven't charged Barack Obama with murdering an American citizen. That's why we haven't charged George W. Bush for starting a war, for lying to the public to start a war with Iraq, saying that weapons of mass destruction and all this other BS. There's never been any accountability for that for the president. They get immunity. They have to make tough decisions. Now, what the Supreme Court basically upheld is the Constitution, right? The Constitution says you got to have some sort of immunity. But these people are insane, talking about, oh, you've forgotten how it was that Richard Nixon abused power. Yes, and he is forgetting about something very important with that. Does anybody remember? I do believe Richard Nixon was impeached and removed from office, folks. These people, like I said, they're just outright nuts. They're lunatics. They're insane. They're ranting and raving because they can't go after Donald Trump. That's the only reason that's what this whole thing is about. Because now they can't go after Donald Trump for some stuff that he did. They must decide that what he did as president, calling the governor of Georgia, you know, talking with everything he did around the election. We all know what it is. Or all the elector stuff. They need to decide if that's an official act or not. I have a feeling that most of that is going to be an official act. Some of it maybe not, like the call to the Georgia governor. That might not be an official act. He may have to bear some responsibility for that. But these people are just acting like the Supreme Court just threw out Jack Smith's case. Just, no, we can't go after Trump for anything he did ever, right? They're just... It's so fun to watch these people just whinge and just cringe and just cry to themselves because the Constitution is absolute in this. You get absolute immunity for official acts. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. That's why we can't go after Joe Biden for any official acts that he commits, right? Like, this is just common sense. You can't just start going after presidents because they decide to assassinate a terrorist and an American citizen just so happens to be in that same restaurant and gets killed as collateral damage. They can't be scared to do whatever the hell they need to do to get the job done. They need some blanket immunity. And these people, right, well, let's get into the decision, to the dissent real quick because, like I said, it's great. Check this out now. All right, here we go. This is Sotomayor's dissent piece. Check it. Looking beyond the fate of this particular prosecution, the long-term consequences of today's decisions are stark. The court effectively creates a law-free zone around the president, upsetting the status quo that has existed since the founding. That's insanity, y'all. Upsetting the status quo. What do you mean by that, lady? A law-free zone around the president? Right? Once again, forgetting about impeachment, right? A president, during an official act, commits a crime that people find that it's a high crime or misdemeanor. You go to the House, you impeach him, it goes to the Senate, and they convict if he's guilty. That's how that works. Then he gets booted from office. And then guess what? You can go after him criminally at that point. The new official acts immunity now lies about like a loaded weapon for any president that wishes to place his own interest, his own political survival, or his own financial gain above the interests of the nation. Lunatics, y'all. The President of the United States is the most powerful person in the country and possibly the world. When he uses his official powers in any way under the majority's reasoning, he will now be insulated from criminal prosecution. Orders the Navy's SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival? Immune. Organizes a military coup to hold on to power? Immune. Takes a bribe in exchange for a pardon? Immune, 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 immune. Holy crap. This is the once again, like I said, this is the rantings and ravings of a freaking insane lunatic, not a Supreme Court justice dissent piece. This is the farthest from a thesis that you could think, right? Like, this is just TDS turned up to 11. Just going outright insane because now we can't go after Donald Trump, y'all. And they're still acting like they can't go after Donald Trump. Once this gets back to the lower courts, they're going to have to figure out, right? This is part of jurisprudence, right? Jack Smith should have worked all this out instead of trying to rush these cases to get Donald Trump convicted before November so they can put him in jail before he can run for president, because they know, once again, they're going to lose here. They know that Donald Trump has a very, very good chance of getting back the presidency. And once he does that, all these cases go away. So they're trying to rush the process. He should have done his due diligence and had all this worked out beforehand. But we wouldn't have got all this whinging from the left if he would have done so. This is just great. Let the president violate the law. Let him exploit the trappings of his office for personal gain. Let him use his official powers for evil ends. What? Let him use his official powers for evil ends, right? Like, who is going to do this, right? Once again, forgetting about impeachment. Yeah, that is a tool that Congress uses to keep balance, y'all. That's why the government is just full of checks and balances. There's all kinds of tools in the box to use to get a corrupt official, a corrupt politician, and boot them out of freaking office. But these people, they're just, like, once again, it's just lunatic ravings. To pander to their base or something, to try to delegitimize the Supreme Court. This is a Supreme Court justice trying to delegitimize her own court. It's like, what is going on with these people, y'all? I don't get it. Because if he knew that he may one day face liability for breaking the law, he might not be as bold and fearless as we would like him to be. That is the majority's message today. Even if these nightmare scenarios never play out, and I pray that they never do, the damage has been done. The relationship between the president and the people he serves has shifted irrevocably. In every use of official power, the president is now a king above the law. Oh my God, you got to love this, man. You have got to love this. Today's decision to grant former president criminal immunity reshapes the institution of the presidency. No, it doesn't. The president has had immunity since the beginning of the country. Nothing has changed. They just affirmed what the Constitution already stated. I mean, we heard the arguments. We heard, Trump's lawyer, Mr. Sauer. That's what he argues. You can't prosecute criminally a president for official acts. He has to be impeached and convicted first, and then you go after him for that. These people are just outright insane. It makes a mockery of the principle foundational to our Constitution and system of government, that no man is above the law. What? What are you talking about? No man is above the law. You know, they're still acting like, once again, no man is above the law, right? Like, there's something called qualified immunity, that police officers get qualified immunity, that you can't prosecute them, right? Like, cities, states can't be sued for certain reasons, so they get a certain amount of immunity. There's also diplomatic immunity. Some diplomats receive some form of immunity for official acts. These people are acting like immunity doesn't exist whatsoever. And she says that no man is above the law, acting like all men are just now immune because they found that the president, they upheld the Constitution. All men are immune now. This is just utter mind-blowingly insane. Relying on little more than its own misguided wisdom about the need for bold and unhesitating action by the president, the court gives former President Trump all the immunity he asked for and more, because our Constitution does not shield a former president from answering for criminal and treasonous acts. I dissent. Man, you gotta love this. You got to love the derangement going on with this lady. We really shouldn't have, somebody with this bad of a case of Trump derangement syndrome sitting on the Supreme Court, folks. Sitting on the Supreme Court, right? Totally ignoring what they actually said in the decision, that, yes, for official acts, he's immune. But it's got to go to a lower court. The lower courts may still find that none of that was official acts. They may find that it was all unofficial acts, and all these charges remain. And he goes to jail for some of this crap, right? Like, it's probably not going to happen like that. They're probably most likely going to find that he does inherit a lot of immunity for a lot of this. Some of it maybe not. Some of it probably so. The indictment paints a stark portrait of a president desperate to stay in power. You see, once again, wow. In the weeks leading up to January 6, 2021, then President Trump allegedly spread lies that there had been outcome determinative fraud in the election and that he had actually won, despite being notified repeatedly by his closest advisors that his claims... Oh, crap, I cut it off. That his claims were false. I'm sure that's what it said. I don't remember exactly what it said. I'm sorry, y'all. Humans make mistakes. But this whole court case is just outright insane, going after Donald Trump for this, right? Like, he legitimately thought, these people don't think that, but he legitimately thought, and as we've explained several times via the shadow campaign, of course, if you don't know that these people were working behind the scenes to change the rules and change the laws around elections so they could pull off a heist, if you will, a conspiracy, that's in their words, pull off a heist to steal the election, right? They called it saving the election. They had hired lawyers, constitutional lawyers, all kinds of people to work behind the scenes, go state to state, change the rules, change the regulations, change laws around mail-in voting, around the universal mail-in voting, early voting, all this other BS to change the rules, right? Like I always say, it's analogous to take a baseball game. You got Republicans versus Democrats, right? The Democrats, right before the game starts, goes to the MLB officials and says, hey, why don't we change the rules around stealing bases? And then they say, okay, yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. And then they don't notify the Republicans. The game starts. The Democrats start stealing bases in a new manner that is now legal that used to be illegal. Right? Like minutes before that you couldn't steal bases in that manner. Right? So the Republicans are over here like, hey, what's going on? What in the hell? They just illegally stole bases. That's fraud. And then Ump's like, no, it's fine. That's the rules. And they're like, no, it's not. What's going on? They get blindsided. That's what happened to the Trump campaign. They got absolutely blindsided because they didn't know that the Democrats had been working behind the scenes for months to change the rules and laws around voting. So, of course, they're going to think that there was a bunch of fraud going on because that used to be illegal. And now it's no longer legal. Right, so he put a bunch of court cases together, and he got his slates of electors to make sure that when he wins his court cases, that he has slates of electors to certify to replace the fake electors that were certified. Do you see what I'm getting at here? That's why the corporate press are constantly talking about, oh, this fake elector scheme. No, I'm sorry. From their perspective, the electors that were certified could have possibly been, if they would have won the court cases, those would have been the fake electors. It's all about perspective. You don't buy into the corporate press narrative until you know all the facts. Right? Like, before I knew about all this, I was very concerned about the fake electors. I was like, holy crap. When that first came up, I'm like, did he really do that? I was ready to abandon Donald Trump over this. Because, yeah, that's anti-democratic. But come to find out, you get into the shadow campaign, and then you learn, okay, no, that was just in case he won his court cases, right? You can't certify electors that have already been certified. So what is the point of them going after Donald Trump? Somebody please explain that to me down in the comment section, because I would really love to know. Somebody explain this. Like a lawyer, somebody. Like, am I wrong with this? I highly doubt it. I've analyzed the data. I've analyzed the court cases. I know what's going on here. It's all a bunch of BS. It's like going after a lawyer because he loses a court case. Which, as a matter of fact, they're going after Trump's lawyers for losing court cases. In this very case, it's just, this is all utter insanity, and the Supreme Court saw the writing on the wall and said, look, yeah, no, this is wrong. Presidents have immunity. But what they should have done, they should have done their due diligence beforehand and worked all this official acts BS out before they brought up this case. But they, once again, Jack Smith, they were trying to rush this case. They were trying to hurry up and get it through. Why? Because they know it was going through the D.C. Circuit, and all the judges on the D.C. Circuit are in their pocket. Now, of course, they're going to find in whatever way the DOJ presents, right? Like, doesn't matter if it's legal or not, if it abides by the law, if it can be interpreted in a certain way. It's just all utter insanity when you look into it. It seems wrong on its face. It's very illogical on its face because, once again, like I said, these electors were just backups if he won his court cases. What are you doing going after these people, and why? It's all just utter nonsense if you ask me. But once again, I'm not a lawyer. I really don't know. But I think I've rambled on for long enough on this one, y'all. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section, because I'd like to get your input on this. What the hell do you think is going on with this case? You know, outside of the Supreme Court findings this afternoon, this whole January 6th case. Like, do you believe the same way I do that this is a bunch of BS? Because, you know, the electors, blah blah blah, like I just explained. Y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.